Dear devotees, Tanvat Pranam, Shri Prabhupada. Start Mangacharan. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. Okay. Anybody who would like to sing the prayer today?
I want to try, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Sarti Mataji. The link is in the chat. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Prabhuji. नवघोरवरं नव पुष्पशरं नव भावधरं नव लास्यपरं नव हास्यकरं नव हेमवरं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरं नव प्रेमयुतं नव नीतसुचं नववेशकृतं नव प्रेमरसं नवदा विलासतशुभ प्रेममयं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरं हरिभक्तिपरं हरि नामधरं करचाप्यकरं हरि नाम परं नायन सततं परनयश्रुतरं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरपरं सततं जानता भाव तापहरं परमार्थप्रयायन लोकगतिं नवलेहकरं जगतापहरं प्रणमामि शचीसुतघोरवरम् निजभक्तिकरं प्रिय चारुतरं नतनार्दननागर राजकुलं कुलकामिनी मनस लासकरं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरं करतालवलं कलकण्ठरवं रघुवाद्यसुविन्यक्य माधुरं निजभक्तिगुणव्रतनाथकरं प्रणमामि शचीसुतगौरवरं युगधर्मयुतं पुनर्नन्दसुतं धरणीसुचित्रं भवभवोचितं तनुध्यानचितं निजवासयुतं प्रणमामि शचीसुतगौरवरम् अरुणं नयनं चरणं वसनं वदने सखलितं सग नामधरं कुरुते सुरसं जगता जीवनं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरं हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे सचिसुत अष्टकम की जय. हरे कृष्णा.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Anybody who will read the translation today?
I can try, Prabhu.
Yes, please. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Translation. His complexion is the hue of fresh cream tinged with kumkum. He is the ever-fresh Cupid who shoots arrows of newly blossoming flowers. He bears newer and newer moods of emotional ecstasis. He is fond of performing novel dances. He makes ever new jokes that cause much laughter. His brilliant luster is like freshly cast gold. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sach. He is endowed with ever-fresh love of God ahead. His radiant luster is like the color of fresh butter. Its fresh attire is arranged in ever new fashions. He relishes ever new mellows of love for Krishna. He shines in ninefold new ways while executing the ninefold processes of devotion. He is permitted with a cost, auspicious living, loving culture. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sat. He is absorbed in devotion to Sri Hari. He maintains the chanting of the names of Hari. While chanting, he counts the holy names on the finger of his hands. He is addicted to the name of Hari. He always has tears of love welling of his eyes. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi. He is always removing the suffering of material existence of mankind. He is the goal of life for persons who are dedicated to their supreme interest. He inspires men to become like honeybees, eager for the honey of Krishna Prema. He removes the burning fever of material world. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sati. He motivates pure devotion until himself. He is the most attractive to his beloved servitors. By his dramatic dancing, he exhibits the characteristics of the king of Paramos. He causes the minds of beautiful young village women to dance. I bow down to Gora, the beautiful son of Mother Sati. He plays kartals as his throat emits sweet melodious sounds, and the vibrant notes of the veena are sharply played. He thus inspires the devotees to perform dramatic dancing that is infused with aspect of his own devotional service. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sati. He is accompanied by the Sankirtana movement, which is the religious practice for the age of Kali. He is the son of Nanda Maharaj come again. He is the extraordinarily brilliant ornament of the earth. His preaching mode is suitably adapted to the cycle of birth and death. His consciousness is fixed in meditation of his own form of Krishna. He is always accompanied by his transcendental effort. I bow to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi. His eyes, the soul, his feet, and his clothing are reddish, like the color that heralds the rising sun. As he utters his own names, his voice falters. He awakens a sweet flavor to life throughout the universe. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sach. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Arti Mataji and Naran Prabhu. Wonderful recitation and reading the translation. Shri Shachi Sutashtakam ki jai. Shri Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya ki jai. Shri Shnitai Gaur Chandra ki jai. Yes, so the wonderful moon of Shri Nitai Gaur Sundar and Nitai Gaur Chandra arose yesterday at our center. Wonderful celebration. Thank you all for
Totally
participating.
ecstatic celebration, Prabhuji.
Yes, ecstatic celebration, lot of hard work before and after.
Yeah, yeah. Seva also good. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we will continue now with our reading of Srila Prabhupada Leela Amrit. We are continuing from chapter 9. So yesterday we saw Prabhupada is kind of shuttling between Vrindavan. This chapter is resident of Vrindavan. Prabhupada has been traveling from Vrindavan to Delhi to print his Back to Godhead. He's been traveling to Bombay to preach. But finally, again, he came back to Vrindavan. And he's been just thinking about this journey and not a lot of success that Krishna has given him over the past 3-4 years that he's been struggling in Delhi and Bombay. Just like we were saying yesterday, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he goes from one dham to another dham. So we have 3 dhams here: Navadvip Dham, Navadvip Mayapur Dham, Vrindavan Dham, and Jagannath Puri Dham. Like that, Prabhupada is also traveling from Vrindavan down to Bombay and Delhi. Okay, so now let's continue. I'll read and then we can have discussion at the end. So we'll continue from this paragraph. Alone and poor, Abhay returned to Vrindavan. He was 62, but he wasn't thinking of retiring. More than ever, his mood was reflective and renounced. Because few people knew him and because he wanted to write, he kept to himself. He enjoyed deep peace as a resident of Vrindavan. Outside his window, the sacred Yamuna flowed by in a peaceful panorama for his private audience. The Keshi Ghat neighborhood was quiet, though in the pre-dawn he could hear a few devotees bathing and chanting. When the moon was full, the river seemed like a coolly resplendent jewel, and in the morning the sun would appear like a red smudge, a fire burning through an opaque wall, at last bursting forth and clearing the entire sky, until in the hot blaze of noon, while the room would be in shadows, Abhay could see from his window a shimmering sun high in the sky and glittering across the silver sheet of the gentle river. Without so much as leaving his room, from his doorway he could see hundreds of temples clustered together for miles in the friendly town of Vrindavan. The various punctual kirtans and the bell ringings in the temples, the spontaneous songs to Lord Krishna in numerous homes and in the streets rose and filled the air with devotion. On the veranda, Abhay could chant japa, and there would be no interruption. He enjoyed a simple, almost carefree life of minimized physical wants, a few hours of rest at night, a little prasadam at noon, the simplest clothing, and he did not have to flatter anyone, support anyone, or manage anyone's life. His mind and intelligence were free and dwelt constantly on his service to his spiritual master. He saw his present circumstances as a preparation for a greater task before him. Despite his advanced age, he felt that he had barely begun his work, yet he felt confident. He had his vision of a world association of devotees. It was not an idle dream, although he was not certain how it would all come about. But he knew his duty. For the present, he would go on describing his vision, the vision of his predecessor spiritual masters, in articles and books. But as soon as possible, he should go to the West. Westerners, he had concluded, were not satisfied with a materially comfortable life devoid of spiritual understanding. More than his fellow Indians, they would be open to the message of the absolute truth. He knew he should go, and he would go, if Krishna desired. Abhay lived frugally in Vrindavan, keeping exact account of every expenditure and every receipt. He carefully kept a ledger, just as if he were running a substantial business, even though his purchases were only a little milk, a few vegetables, charcoal for cooking, bus rides, and his major expenditure, postage. Abhay composed a Bengali poem, Vrindavan Bhajan. Its opening stanzas were especially self-reflective and personal. I am sitting alone in Vrindavan Dham. In this mood, I am getting many realizations. I have my wife, sons, daughters, grandsons, everything, but I have no money. So they are a fruitless glory. Krishna has shown me the naked form of material nature. By his strength, it has all become tasteless to me today. Yasyaham anugranami harishyetad dhanam shanai. I gradually take away all the wealth of those upon whom I am merciful. How was I able to understand this mercy of the All-Merciful? Everyone has abandoned me, seeing me penniless. Wife, relatives, friends, brothers, everyone. This is misery, but it gives me a laugh. I sit alone and laugh. In this Maya Samsara, whom do I really love? Where have my loving father and mother gone now? And where are all my elders who were my own folk? Who will give me news of them? Tell me who? All that is left of this family life is a list of names. As the froth on the sea water mixes again in the sea, Maya Samsara's play is just like that. No one is mother or father or personal relative. Just like the sea foam, they remain but a short time. Just as the froth on the sea water mixes again in the sea, the body made of 5 elements meets with destruction. How many bodies does the embodied soul take in this way? His relatives are all related merely to the temporal body. But everyone is your relative, brother, on the spiritual platform. This relationship is not tinged with the smell of Maya. The Supreme Lord is the soul of everyone. In relation to Him, everyone in the universe is the same. All your relatives, brother, all the billions of jivas. When seen in relation to Krishna, they are all in harmony. Forgetting Krishna, the jiva desires sense gratification, and as a result, he is firmly grasped by Maya. On an October visit to Delhi, Abhay received a donation from Kaviraj Baidyanath Sarkar to be used for printing 1,000 copies of Back to Godhead. Abhay promptly produced an October 20 issue of Back to Godhead with the donor's name on the front page. It was the first issue in 2 years. Another donor, Mr. Subodh Kumar Kapoor of Ramlal Kapoor and Sons, followed Mr. Sarkar's example and donated 1,000 copies for the November 20th issue. The front page article in the November issue was Truth and Beauty, an editorial in the Times of India speculating on whether truth and beauty were compatible, had opined that the truth was not always beautiful but often ugly and unpleasant. Abhay disagreed. Truth is so beautiful that many sages, saints, and devotees have left everything for the sake of truth. But we are habituated to love untruth from time immemorial in the name of truth. Abhay agreed, however, that mundane truth and beauty were incompatible. Not only was mundane truth not beautiful, it was not truth, and mundane beauty was not real beauty. To explain, Abhay told a story. Once, a man fell in love with a beautiful girl who tried to resist the man's advances. When he persisted, she requested that he wait for 7 days, after which she would accept him. During the next 7 days, the girl took a strong purgative and laxative and repeatedly passed stool and vomited. She stored the refuse in buckets. Thus, the so called beautiful girl became lean, thin like a skeleton, and turned blackish in complexion, and the beautiful eyeballs were pushed into the sockets of the skull. The man appeared on the scene well dressed and well behaved and asked the waiting girl, who was depressed in appearance, about the beautiful girl who called him there. The man could not recognize the waiting girl as the same beautiful girl whom he was asking for. The same girl, however, was in a pitiable condition, and the foolish man, in spite of his repeated assertion, could not recognize her. It was all due to the action of the medicine only. At last, the girl told the powerful man all the story of her beauty and told him that she had separated the ingredients of her beauty and stored them up in the reservoirs. She had also told him that he could enjoy the juices of beauty stored up in the reservoirs. The mundane poetic or the lunatic man agreed to see the juices of beauty, and thus he was directed to the store of loose stool and liquid vomit, which were emanating unbearable bad smell, and thus the whole story of beauty liquid was disclosed to him. Abhay went on to assert that literature which did not describe the ultimate truth and beauty of the Supreme Person was no better than stool and vomit, even though it be presented as poetry and philosophy. In Standard Morality, Abhay explained, morality is the standard of activity by which the supreme authority is satisfied. The scriptures contain moral codes prohibiting unholy sex relations, animal slaughter, intoxication, and gambling. Abhay attributed Mahatma Gandhi's success as a public leader to his observance of these moral principles. Abhay also praised the Vedic system of marriage. After the attainment of puberty, a woman wants a male, and if she is not married within that time and allowed to mix up with the boys, It is quite natural that there is every chance of fall down either by the boy or the girl. Despite changing social conditions, Abhay argued, you cannot indulge in unholy connection with the opposite sex just because the social conditions have changed, because unholy connection with women is the beginning of all immorality. In Scholars Deluded, Abhay presented a critical view of Dr. Radhakrishnan's edition of Bhagavad Gita, citing specifically the 34th verse of the ninth chapter, wherein Lord Krishna declares that one should always think of him and become his devotee. Dr. Radhakrishnan had commented, it is not the personal Krishna to whom we have to give ourselves up utterly, but the unborn, beginningless, eternal who speaks through Krishna. Although the obvious meaning of Bhagavad Gita was that one should surrender to Krishna, the Supreme Person, the impersonalists like Dr. Radhakrishnan obscured the direct meaning with their word jugglery. On the disappearance day of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Abhay keenly felt separation from his spiritual master. He perfectly understood that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta's instructions were more important than his physical presence, and that, in fact, the spiritual master was present within his instructions. In this way, Abhay had always been with his spiritual master. Yet, on this annual day, Abhay could not help feeling loss. He remembered how in 1932 he had been a grihastha and a new disciple. At that time, he had not been free to do as much service as now. Yet, it had been in those years that he had been able to see his spiritual master, offer obeisances before him, eat the remnants of his prasadam, walk beside him, hear his voice, receive his personal glance. Abhay thought of their meetings together. How powerful had been Srila Bhakti Siddhanta's mission. His presses had been running day and night, printing magazines, books, the daily Nadia Prakasha, and Europe had been a promising new preaching field. With Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur at the helm, the Gaudiya Mutt had entered into battle against Maya's forces, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta had made all his disciples unafraid. Abhay had always been eager to serve his spiritual master, to serve within the Gaudiya Mutt with its headquarters in Calcutta. But exactly how he would serve had never been clear to him until his last letter from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Abhay looked back on the more than 20 years since his spiritual master's disappearance. The Gaudiya Mutt had been undone by its leaders, and everyone else had scattered like leaves in a storm. It was an unspeakable loss, and it was an old story how the big sannyasis had disregarded their spiritual master's instructions and had intrigued, disputed, litigated. Violent party, factions, false leaders claiming to be world acharya, and which party had been right? No, both had been wrong, all wrong, because the Gaudiya Mutt had disintegrated. Now there were dozens of little mathas and no preaching, no real preaching as before, when he, Simhaguru, had cast fear into the Mayavadis, had led an army of young, powerful preachers to march throughout India and the world. And the greatest sufferers of the Gaudiya Mutt's dissolution were the people, the non devotees, who had little hope of being delivered from the batterings of Maya. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati had begun a spiritual revolution, but that revolution had now been overthrown by Maya. The scattered principles of the Gaudiya Mutt had settled quietly into self-satisfied, insular, almost impotent units, and it was the people in general who suffered. Okay, so we'll pause here. Yes, any takeaways, any thoughts, points of reflections from today's reading? Anything from anybody? Yeah, I was just thinking again of this last part that we were reading. Yeah, like Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur as the lion preacher, true message, again, how he was preaching. But yeah, sometimes the Lord also for purification, he performs this lila. I mean, even in Srila Prabhupada, when he started ISKCON, it was not easy. Right? There were devotees who came, and like how he's remembering here, how when his Guru Maharaj started, And he was present physically, his Vapu association, everything was great. But when he left this world, then there were factions within the Gaudiya Math, and there were quarrels and disputes, litigations. But again, it's a kind of a leela of the Lord to help purify the devotees. But yeah, we saw later when Srila Prabhupada left this planet also in 1977. ISKCON was going through a lot of struggles and challenges over the next 10, 15 years before things kind of calmed down. But yeah, like similarly, struggles are always there in everybody's life. Even in our lives, yeah, we may see there will be struggles, there will be tests that will come. But the main test is that how strongly we hold onto the path, the faith, the determination that we have been talking about. That firm faith is what will keep us going and will keep us connected to the path. But all these troubles also that come externally, it may seem like they're troubles. But in a devotee's life, because Krishna says that once we are surrendered, once we have Sharanagati at the lotus feet of the Lord, then he takes over the charge. So externally, while it may seem that the devotee is also going through a lot of hardships, and these could just be like leelas. Even all of this happening also, just like when the Lord comes, he comes with his entourage, which is with his associates, like Devati Mataji was mentioning yesterday, right? Even when the Lord appears, all the devatas come, right, to take darshan, to participate in his pastimes, and what to speak of his close associates, intimate associates from Nitya Dham. So similarly, even though even externally these may seem like quarrels and factions, this could all just be just Leela of the Lord. Like these are all pure devotees of the Lord playing their part in the drama that the Lord orchestrates, just to teach everybody a lesson of what is the right path to follow and what we should do, what we should not do. Right. So there is no concept of karma. There are three different types of karma, right? The accumulated reactions, what we have, which is our prarabdha, and then there is fructifying actions, which is what we are currently going through. And then, based on our actions, what karmas are we creating for ourselves for future? Right? So all of these apply for general people, but for devotees, once you take shelter of the Lord, then all of these are completely eradicated or completely burnt up by the Lord. And because when a non-devotee goes through these problems, then the way they would respond would be even more negative, even more in depression and dejection. And so the actions that they would perform would actually create more negative karma for them, versus a devotee, like we see here in Srila Prabhupada's life, when they would respond to those situations, they will actually take even more firm faith at the lotus feet of the Lord. So by that action, the choice that they make, ultimately it all comes down to the choice, right? This human form of body that we have is just the only thing that we are doing is just the only thing that we can do is just make the right choices. That's it. Everything else is given to us by others, right? I remember this famous quote that Gaur Gopal Prabhu once mentioning. He was mentioning that when we are born, what happens? The birth is given by our mother. The name is given by our family. Right? As we grow up, we go to school, education is given by our teachers. When you go to job, money and the job is given by our profession, life. Right? When we die, also, people are crying. They are taking us on their shoulder, the dead body. Right? And finally, even the cremation, or whether you're burying your body or burning the body, that is also done by others. So everything is done by others. The only thing that we are doing in this life is the choices that we make. So the situations that come in our life really determine differentiated devotee versus a non-devotee, right? How we respond to the situations. So those choices are in our control, and that is what the power that the Lord gives in a devotee's life, as to how he or she makes those choices in those situations. That we take further shelter. We just take complete shelter of the Lord's feet. And that is the difference that determines that are we getting future karma or not, and the Lord takes care of those. So yeah, those are some thoughts. Any other reflections?
Hare Krishna. This is
Hare
Anand.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Prabhu. Just wanted to say such beautiful reflections. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for such beautiful darshan of Nitai Gaur Sundar yesterday by you and Meenakshi Mohini. And I was just also reflecting on the wonderful lecture of Devoti Mataji. And the two things that really stood out for me then was the question and answers, where the question was about mercy and surrender. You know, when do we get the mercy? And Mataji said, how much we surrender depends on that. And the real litmus test for the surrender was what comes out as the first thing when you are in trouble. Is it the Lord's name, or is it something else? And I remember one of the excerpts from Srila Prabhupada who said that, the real language of a person comes out when he is in trouble. So, and there was a good example in Albaldea Temple about a person who could speak many languages, but his real intentions were not clear to the devotees. So when he got a slap on the face, then ultimately, he started cursing. So his real language came out. So ultimately, our surrender depends on, Mataji said, who do we call out first? Do we remember Krishna first, or we remember, seek help from family, friends, and other people? And the mercy comes accordingly. And in one of the talk series that we've been doing, mercy comes later than what we expect, but earlier than what we deserve. So those were the two reflections that I think that stayed with me yesterday. Thank you, Prabhu.
Very nice. Thank you for helping us remember, and now we'll remember forever. Thank you for summarizing that. Yes, Mataji. Yes, the mercy part. Yeah, we always think that, why are we going through these? But actually, it's the mercy of the Lord. Yes, and mercy comes before we deserve. We may feel that it's coming later, but it comes before we deserve. So thank you. And this we have to always remember. So that's why this practice of chanting the holy names in the morning will make sure that we are able to have the holy names dancing on our tongues throughout the day. And by practicing this day in and day out, hopefully we'll be able to have the holy names dancing on our tongue when we even pass away from this life. And that is the real test. The death at the end is the examination. So yeah, this practice that we are doing will help us go through that. Thank you. Okay, so with that we'll conclude today. Thank you once again for your association. And a lot of us were late there in the night with Vishwanath Prabhu. His dedication and his punctuality is incredible. He's still starting the call at 4:30 a.m. every morning. Thank you, Jai Ho, Vishwanath Prabhu. Thank you to all the devotees, Anandini Mataji, Nalin Prabhu. Shriya Mataji, we miss your association in Cincinnati, but thank you for joining from Pittsburgh.
I miss you all too.
Hopefully you can see the celebration through the recording.
Yes.
Thank you, Mataji. All right, so we'll end with Vaishnava Pranam prayers. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.